Welcome, everybody, to episode 64 of The Effing Title. And today, for you, we are going to be doing the 2021 NFL Draft Review. The way we're going to do this today is we are going to look at all the teams and kind of give a brief overview of what they did. A couple minutes on each, like 2 or 3 minutes on each. And for right now, I'm going to be using NFL.com and DraftWire because so much stuff happened. So many people got drafted. It's hard to remember all of it off by heart. So we're going to be taking a look at these two and then going through everything bit by bit, alphabetically. And yeah, we're going to see how everyone did in the draft and see who we think was a good winner and who was a loser in the sense of the draft. So we're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals had an interesting draft, I would say, in my opinion. They hit a few needs that they needed. However, I thought that the pick of Rondale Moore was a luxury pick. They didn't need to go Rondale Moore. I think Rondale Moore is going to make that offense very exciting. However, though, I felt like there was bigger needs at that point in the draft. So that was my opinion on that. I think Zaven Collins I thought he was one of the better linebackers in this draft. I really liked him. I thought that at 16 it may have been a little bit of a reach, but hey, overall. And then they got some good picks here in the end. You know, they got James Wiggins, the safety from Cincinnati. They got Victor Mukeshi. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not, from Duke, the D end. Yeah, overall the Arizona Cardinals got a pretty decent looking draft. Then we move on to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons had arguably one of the stronger draft classes, which is good because they needed it. It was interesting seeing Richie Grant getting taken, the safety from UCF. It was interesting seeing him get taken over top of Trevin Moehrig and Javen Holland. But hey, I mean, you know, that's them. Kyle Pitts of 4, it's hard to argue against that. That's a great thing. Instead of looking for that next quarterback, they decided to just boost up what they already have, and they went out and signed A.J. McCarron as well, so that's kind of a great pick. They got some line help, they got some defensive help. Overall, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They had 9 picks, so they were able to hit at a lot of different areas. However, Pitts is the main thing. That is the entire thing. Their entire draft is built around Pitts, and that was a great pick of 4. It'll be interesting to see how Michigan guard Jalen Mayfield plays out, along with Drew Dalman, the center from Stanford. Then we go to the Baltimore Ravens. My team. I think Baltimore did a great. Was a great draft for them overall. Rashard Bateman at 27 was awesome. Odefi Owa at 31, I loved. It'll be interesting to see how Brandon Stevens plays out. He's a corner at SMU. He was a running back. I forgot where he was a running back, but he was a running back before SMU. He went to SMU. He became a cornerback. The Ravens are going to use him as a safety. He's one of those players that kind of seems like he might be playing a lot of roles. I feel like he's going to be a special team stud for us. Tylan Wallace is awesome, and then the rest of our draft kind of, plays out pretty well. We kind of overall got a lot of good positions, and we got Ben Cleveland, who really fits well with us, just wanting to pound people in the face with the football. Also, one of the other ones I want to hit real quick is we got Washington, the safety from Washington. From TCU. Sorry, Washington, the safety from TCU that played alongside Moehrig, and he's a ball hawker. And we got him as an undrafted free agent, and I think that is huge because I was expecting him to go off the board in the 2nd or 3rd, and no one took him. So, shows you how much I actually know. The Buffalo Bills, Jeff and Josh's team. Overall, this class seems very strong. And, they went right about it, and they double dipped straight away, again, an edge rusher with Gregory Rousseau and then Carlos Basham Jr. Then they double dipped again, going OT back to back. You know, really, really solid, strong picks, I feel like, here. Um, it's hard to see uh, kind of where they needed to go, almost. Of course, like Fedge had said when he was on, that he wanted them to go get Travis Etienne. Of course, he went a lot earlier than 30. But overall, though, I mean, it's hard to argue against the picks that they did get. So, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing. Double dipping early, it's a cool strategy because no matter what, one of the two of them has to play out. That's how most people think about it. So, yeah, I think the Bills had a very strong draft, in my opinion. Then we move up to the Carolina Panthers, arguably one of the strongest, one of the strongest draft classes that we had here in this weekend. We had J.C. Horn, who is one of the most a very aggressive, tackle-heavy cornerback. Beautiful pick, I love it. We have LSU's wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. They kind of went all over the place, just kind of getting what they needed while it was on the board. BYU offensive tackle Brady Christensen, he's going to play out, and he's going to eventually could become a very good offensive lineman. Tommy Tremble is the guy that I want to go into Baltimore, so I fucking hate that they got him, but he's a stud. He's an old school fullback, but he plays tight end. It's almost like a Kyle Juszczyk sort of player, but he's going to hit you more. Juszczyk's more versatile in the run game and pass game. I feel like Tremble is more versatile in the blocking / catching game. And then you got Chubba Hubbard from Oklahoma State. Gotta love that name, Chubba Hubbard. And then late in the draft, they got Shi Smith, the South Carolina wide receiver. Overall, very strong draft. It'd be interesting to see. This is one of those ones that I feel like is a long-term draft for them. It'll be interesting to see how these players play out long term. Some teams are going to be like they fill in right now. Like, for instance, a couple of the Baltimore guys are going to fill right now. These guys are going to be a long term grading, I feel like. Then we go to the Bears. The Bears are interesting because, of course, everybody's giving them and lauding them so much for going up and getting Justin Fields. I don't like Justin Fields. I've said it multiple times. I don't like Justin Fields. You can't name the last time that a Ohio State quarterback has done well in the NFL. And when you do name them, they're wide receivers. Braxton Miller and Terrell Pryor. The last one before that was Troy Smith. And that's saying that Troy Smith was good when he was a quarterback. Justin Fields trading up to go get him and what they traded to go get him, I don't see it. I don't see how it's an A grade from both of these. Tevin Jenkins in the second, I do like. I thought Jenkins is a good offensive tackle. It gives them kind of a little bit of a mauler. And then the rest of their draft is just, it's a little bit, it's very offensive until you get to the last two when it goes to defense players. Like I said, Going with with how much they traded to go get a quarterback yet again, it feels like Trubisky 2.0, in my opinion. It feels like Trubisky 2.0. The only difference is I actually like Trubisky. So then we go to Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are on the clock. Bengals go off and get Jamar Chase at number 5. Beautiful pick. If you look at Jamar Chase's season when he played with Burrows, it was unreal. He's going to be an immediate starter, and he's going to have a hell of a season career, I think, with Burrows in Cincinnati if they can block. And that's where you go to Jackson Cartman at number 2, the second pick, and then Joseph Asai, who is the D end that I said that I really liked from Texas. The rest of their draft is rounded out with a bunch of different players. One of the big ones, though, was Florida kicker Evan McPherson. And he, if you look him up online, you'll find him doing the bottle cap challenge, field goal kicker wise, from like 30 yards out. Overall, pretty good draft. High B round draft. A lot of the late round picks of these guys are just going to fill in, and you look, they go, offense, DDD, offense, specials, offense, D. They were very balanced, getting guys on both sides of the ball. And if you look at the defensive guys, it's a D end, it's a D end, it's a D tackle, it's a D end. So you know what they're trying to do. They're trying to shut people down at the front line. You look at their offense picks, OT, center. They're trying to beat people up on the line. It makes sense. They're building from the inside out after getting the guys that they need on the outside. You got to like to see it. And then you get to the next team, the Cleveland Browns. Yet again, I've said this once or twice now, with arguably one of the best drafts that we've had. Cleveland Browns had a very strong draft. Very strong. Starting off with Greg Newsome II, and having Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah falling to them at 52 is unreal. It's just unreal. Then you look at the rest of it, and it's good players. You get a fast slot receiver in Anthony Schwartz. Then you're going OT, DT, linebacker, safety, running back. A lot of guys, a lot of positions. Overall, in the third round, it was just full of bargains. They just kind of let, this guy comes to us, this guy comes to us, this guy comes to us, this guy. They weren't really having to reach. Just people were falling right to them, and they were getting it. And overall, it worked out really well for them. The Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is interesting because on DraftWire, it's a grade of a C, and on NFL.com, it is the grade of an A. So they both see completely different things. I thought it was interesting to go with Micah Parsons in the first when corner was such a heavy need for them. I mean, with the way Parsons was falling, maybe they could have traded back up because they had a ton of picks here. So it was interesting to see them go there over their need first. Then they come back in and get Kelvin Joseph, which is one of those things at 44. You could have easily have gotten like Caleb Farley at 12 and then come back in and get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at 44. Osa Odigizua, D tackle from UCLA. I like him. I liked his older brother. I assume it's his older brother anyway. Same last name, and that's it's not a typical last name. So I'm assuming that they're related. Overall, it's interesting because a lot of their draft is defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. Out of the 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of the 11 picks, 7 of them. No, 8 of them. 8 of them were defensive. And then they only went offense 3 times. And that was it for 2 linemen and a wide receiver. So, looking at that, they know their defense is bad. They're trying to bolster their defense. And man, did they get a lot of stuff there. The question is that like I said, there's a lot of defensive talent that they just got. But now will it work together? Because the one thing that I remember seeing last year, I forgot where I saw it. Someone said it, and as soon as I watched one of their games, I immediately saw it. And that was that the defense didn't play together. So they can get all this talent, as much talent as they want. If the defense isn't going to play as a defensive unit and just individual players, it doesn't fucking matter. So, Denver Broncos. Broncos are on the board. B+. So overall, both agree. We start off with Patrick Surtain. It's hard to not go Patrick Surtain. Best corner, arguably, from a lot of people in the draft. No questions, straight off the board. A lot of people were thinking that maybe they were going to go with Fields. Overall, though, they go Surtain. I thought the pick of Javonte Williams at 35 was weird, in my opinion. You already have 2 running backs. Trading up for Williams is an interesting one just because you have Royce Freeman and you have Melvin Gordon. So I did not fully understand that. Quinn Meinerz, I love him. Division III boy, just like your boy. He just played at a better school, Division III than me. Played at Wisconsin Whitewater. Just a stud. He's gonna fit in well there. Underrated lineman in the entire draft. He went to the senior day and just ripped it up. Then they filled the rest of their draft up with basically defense from that point out. Linebacker, 2 safeties, corner, 2 DNs. Solid draft, just kind of hitting a lot of needs that they had, and that's kind of one of those things when you have when you're a lower level, when you're a lower bracket team and you have a ton of picks, you just need to fill those picks, and you will find someone eventually. Detroit Lions, B plus and B plus, so both on both the same on both of these sites. I thought the Lions had a very underrated draft. They went kind of an old school approach. They went interior out, and then if someone falls to them, we're taking them. I really like their draft. You go Penny Sewell, you go Levi Onwuzurike, Elim McNeil, Ifante Melifanu, Amon Ra St. Brown. How about that for a bunch of names, right? Up until that point, the last two guys that they got, linebacker and running back, they're okay. Up until that, though, I love that. I love everything they did. They get an offensive tackle. Boom. You got a franchise tackle now, 7 in Penei Sewell. Then you go out and you get 2 new 2D tackles, which is interesting considering that you just traded for Michael Brockers earlier in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys work. It would be kind of nice, though, because then you can kind of intertwine them as you go. But still, building from the inside out. Ifantu Melifanu, I thought was an underrated corner from Syracuse, and I like the idea of him being here. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, I thought was a good wide receiver that I knew was going to be kind of a day 2, day 3 guy. And going to Detroit gives him an opportunity to kind of show them what he's going to do. So the next team, Green Bay Packers, their whole draft weekend was upsided by the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. We have an A and a B rating. I think that they went corner straight away with Eric Stokes. I think they were hoping that Rashard Bateman would fall to them at 29. But with Baltimore taking them, they went Eric Stokes. Then they go and get Josh Myers, the center, helping, to protect whoever the hell is going to be playing at quarterback there. Then they go out and get a wide receiver of A. Rodgers, which honestly feels like such a shot. They could have had any wide receiver there. He is a Randall Cobb sort of player, so he will, he kind of will fit. But it's hard to not see that as a shot at Aaron Rodgers. Amari Rodgers, A. Rodgers. It's yeah. Then the rest of the draft is just filled out with, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, corner, guard, linebacker, running back. Overall, I thought it was a decent draft. They hit a lot of things they needed to. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen here. Biggest thing with Aaron Rodgers more than anything. Then we get to arguably the worst draft. And that's simply just because it's the Texans. The Texans didn't draft until day 2. And when they drafted in day 2, they kind of made it very obvious what they were doing. They went and drafted Stanford quarterback Davis Mills. Automatically, that kid's going to have, I feel like, a lot of pressure. Because it's either one of two things. One, you're supposedly the guy that could be taking over for Deshaun Watson. Or you're, just going to sit behind Deshaun Watson when he gets back. So it's high and low. Then you go Nico Collins, the wide receiver from Michigan, big receiver, and then the Miami tight end Brevin Jordan, who, like I've said before, felt more like a wide receiver than anything. But they got him all the way in the 5th. So a receiving tight end isn't terrible all the way down in the 5th. A linebacker and a D tackle to fill out the draft. Overall, it'll be interesting to see how they contribute. But like I said, though, when you only have 5 picks and your first pick doesn't start until 67, it's hard to move a franchise forward when you have that. And I feel like they're going to have a tough time moving forward. The Indianapolis Colts, this is very interesting. NFL gives them a B+, and DraftWire gives it a D. I kind of like the idea of, right now, more of DraftWire than the NFL. I feel like the NFL is just coddling every team with higher picks. And I look at this and Kwity Paye, cool. Kwity Paye at 21, steal. Very good freaking player right there. But then from then on, I don't see it. Oye Odigi oh Jesus, Deo Odeingbo, the Dan from Vanderbilt. Then you go SMU tight end, Florida safety, the quarterback from Texas. I don't see it. I don't see what they're trying to do here. There's a lot of needs that they had, and it doesn't feel like they hit it. Right? They just off Anthony Costanzo, left tackle, lost it. What do? They get an offensive tackle at 248. I don't see. It doesn't make much sense to me. Like I said, that's why I agree with Draft Wire more on this. It does feel like they just kind of. It just feels like they just kind of were like, oh, we like this guy, we like this guy, we like this guy, regardless of what they needed to do. I'm a big person of either getting best on the board or getting what you need. Jacksonville Jaguars fucking killed it. Of course, you get Trevor Lawrence at number 1, and then 25. I was thinking along with a lot of people, what are they going to do at 25? And then they go out and get Travis Etienne, which now gives you Etienne and Robinson, which is going to be a dope backfield in my opinion. 33 was Tyson Campbell. I was intrigued by this pick because I wasn't 100% sure who they would get here. It wasn't the guy that I was thinking. Walker Little gives them an offensive tackle that I was thinking they would get at 25. They get him at 45 instead. Andre Cisco is a safety that I did think was a very good safety, along with Jay Tufele, the D tackle from USC. And then, of course, Luke Farrell, the tight end from Ohio State, knows Urban Meyer from the Ohio State connection. I just thought that this draft was just overall a very solid draft. They were taking best player available, and there was a bunch of people, Lawrence, Etienne, Cisco, and Tufele, who were all on my top 5 boards in a lot of my positions. So the fact that they have 4 picks in my top 5 guys, it's like solid. They're in great hands right now, in my opinion. Kansas City Chiefs kind of reloaded yet again. Nick Bolton of 58 and then Creed Humphrey at 63 are both very good picks in my opinion. It's interesting seeing Creed Humphrey go there with him being an athletic center. Moving forward, and Nick Bolton, like I said, he's a stud. In the first round, they basically got Orlando Brown Jr. from Baltimore. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that because he isn't a left tackle; he's a right tackle. That's what I'm going to say. Moving on to the Raiders. Wait a minute. This one has the Chargers first. Why does this one have the Chargers first? Okay. We go Chargers first then. Chargers had a solid draft. A and B. A, B. Boom. Done. I was talking about this yesterday with Telly TV. Rashawn Slater at 13 is a stud, a steal and a half. Rashawn Slater is arguably the best tackle, and you get him outside of 10. Kind of crazy. Sante Samuel Jr., I think, is a ball hawk if he can get it going. He plays very much like his dad. The only thing I think is that he will take ballsier chances than his old man did. And then the rest of it, they just filled in with, needs. They just wide receiver, tight end, need. DN, OG, need. Linebacker, running back, safety, need. Like, they went and they hit every position once. Boom, across the board. And they got needs across the board. It's hard to argue with a draft like that. Then you get to the Rams. And this is another one that's very fucking funny. DraftWire gives it a D. NFL Network, A. I agree. I don't get this at all. They get Tutu Atwell, a wide receiver. Ernest Jones, linebacker. Bobby Brown, D tackle. I don't see it, man. Ernest Jones is a solid at there, but I mean, other than that, I don't see it. This is, in my opinion, this is a weak draft class from the Rams. I don't see why the NFL Network gave it an A. The worst I've seen so from the NFL Network is a C plus. I think it is. So, yeah. Okay, now we're going to the Raiders. Raiders BC. This is a weird one. As they trade up, if I remember correctly, they didn't trade up. They at 17, they get Alex Leatherwood. At 43, they get Trayvon Moehrig. How every draft board had it was the other way around. Moehrig going first, then Leatherwood going later. So it's interesting seeing that. If they took Leatherwood that high, they had to have seen something in him. And then Trayvon Moehrig, as we found out during the draft, obviously the steal of the draft, one of the steals of the draft. He had some back problems. And then the rest of the board just kind of fills in with a bunch of defensive players and then a corner. I mean, not a corner, a center. So it will be interesting to see how this team looks moving forward because the Raiders are kind of one of those teams, in my opinion, that you just kind of forget about. In the slew of everything that's going on right now, the Raiders I just kind of forget about. There's nothing really there that sticks out too much. That's just me. So now we go to the Miami Dolphins, and this one is just I love it. I love what Miami Dolphins did here. It's an A, it's a B minus. The B minus I don't agree with in this one. You go Jalen Waddle at 6. You get that big ass wide receiver, the big name wide receiver for Tua Tagovailoa. Then you go Miami edge rusher Jalen Phillips, who arguably, in my opinion, was one of the better defense players in this draft. I wanted him to fall to Baltimore. Obviously, it didn't happen. Javon Holland, another player I wanted to fall to Baltimore. Obviously, didn't happen. Great safety. Should have been in the first, really. Liam Eichenberg he's a good tackle. He'll do well. And then Hunter Long is just that tight end. And I said this in my top 5 offense players. Hunter Long to me is that guy where you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it, and he's going to go down. Like right there. That's it. There's not going to be any yak. It's just going to be 5-yard pass. Boom. Down. You got 5 yards. He's a very solid guy at getting the ball and just going down. And then the rest of it is just kind of, they went with some other guys. Really. That's it. Minnesota Vikings. It's kind of hard to argue with a lot of this. The only thing, because they just had a solid draft. A and A across the boards. Christian Darrisaw, as everyone knows, Darrisaw is one of those guys that either has really high ceiling, or he's gonna be cut like fucking the last center or last offensive tackle was that we had from Tennessee. There, Kellen Mond at 66, I thought was interesting, and then they had the slew of picks here in the third. Chaz Sherritt was a great one. Wyatt Davis, another great one. Patrick Jones the second, another great one. They just hit on all 3 of those. Boom, 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 back to back to back. That little chunk right there, the rest of it doesn't matter. That chunk just really sets the tone of what they're doing. They get a linebacker, guard, D-end. It makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Darrisaw. Get him at 23 though, I thought is a huge steal. The only one that is weird to me is getting Kellen Mond. So they must see something in him for him to be a potential guy that provides, depth, but also might be able to push Kirk Cousins later on. The New England Patriots. Man. So they waited. They played their game. And then at 15, Mac Jones falls into their laps. Boom. They wait until 38, and then Christian Barmore falls into their laps. Boom. They wait until 96. Ronnie Perkins falls into the laps. Boom. Ramon Stevenson falls into the laps. Boom. It felt like everything that was happening for the Patriots was just a slow falling of this guy's just going to slowly show up. And now he's here. Cool. We're going to take him. Like, they didn't have to do anything, I felt like. That's how it felt watching it. It was just a player was falling. Boom. It's Patriot. 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 And overall, those 3 right there, I love all 3 of them. Ramon Stevenson, as you guys know, I had high on my boards. So getting him at 120, huge. Barmore at 38, huge. And then you get Mac Jones, who, let's be honest here, Mac Jones is going to compete for that starting quarterback role in New England. So now we go to the New Orleans Saints. You go Peyton Turner at 28. Houston, the end. He's young. At 28, it was interesting who was still left on the board. Pete Werner, the linebacker from Ohio State. New Orleans loves their Ohio State players. And then Ian Brook at 133, the QB from Notre Dame. It just, I don't know. I feel like the Saints are one of those teams where there's some potential, but it's either going to be this class is going to be a boom class, not a boomer. It's going to be a boom class, or it's going to be just a complete fizzle class. Unlike the New York Giants here. Interesting, the New York Giants go with Kadarius Toney at 20. I thought that was a shock to me, especially with Bateman on the board. But apparently, though, they like Toney, especially being able to trade down and still get him from the Bears. Azeez Ojulari falling to 50 was an unreal situation. Of course, medical issues. But overall, he is arguably the most. He's a pure pass rusher, so it's hard to argue against getting him at 50. And then Aaron Robinson is going to be a nickel corner who's going to just almost plug and play. So overall, this is a very solid draft class, A and B across the board here. And then we go to the other New York team, the New York Jets, surprisingly also having a very B and B situation. You start off with Zach Wilson at number 2. Everyone saw it coming. Elijah Vera Tucker you trade up for, which was very weird. I didn't like it. I don't like Vera Tucker. Let me rephrase that. Vera Tucker, Vera Tucker, I like. Trading up for him at 14, I did not like. Getting Elijah Moore at 34, I think was a steal and a half. I felt like he was a guy that could have fallen into the first. Getting Michael Carter, the running back, is a good. It gives them a running back that could potentially become a future guy. Then they double dip at safety. Then they get one of them is Michael Carter. Another Michael Carter, or triple dip at safety. Auburn, Duke, and Florida State. So that's interesting. Double dipping at corner and then getting a D tackle. Obviously, they want to push the offense. So they're offensively driven this draft and then just defense to end it. So very good overall for them. And then we go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Arguably one of the funniest fucking moments in the draft was when Landon Dickerson got picked and he looked fucking miserable. It may be the riskiest pick in this entire draft with his injury history, but it also could be the best pick in this draft with the player that he is. Devonta Smith at 10, trading up to go get him was beautiful. They traded up over the Giants to get him, an easy fuck you, and the Cowboys also get to give them a big fuck you. It will be interesting to see how he actually plays in Philly. Philly is not good with wide receivers recently. Then we go Milton Williams, the DN from Louis Tech. Big guy, small arms. But a very underrated guy. Could play DN, could play D tackle. And then filling in the board with mostly defensive players from then on. It's interesting seeing a lot of these teams going mainly defense to end the draft instead of to start the draft. Kind of just shows you the depth that there was on a lot of these defensive positions. Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting here. NFL is an A, shocking. Draft wire is a C. So this one is actually a big difference. I am not saying if there are small differences, I'm only saying if they're big differences. The big two for me is Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth. Najee Harris was kind of felt like the obvious choice for them. Pat Freiermuth was a very good choice by them. Him falling to 55, I thought was wild. I thought he would have been gone in the 30s, maybe the 40s. And then they go and get Kedrick Green, who might be able to fight for a spot. And then Quincy Roche, the outside backer from Miami, later in the draft, really was kind of a bargain player. Surprising that he got to that position. But overall, though, started strong on offense, and then they went defense and specials to end. Like I've been saying with a lot of these teams, that's how it's been going. These websites obviously have no idea what they're talking about. I'm just saying it just because of they completely one skips over the 49ers and goes straight to Seattle. So Seattle, the NFL Network gives them a B. DraftWire gives them a D+. They had 3 fucking picks. I find it hard to believe that you can have a B rating with 3 picks. Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver from Western Michigan, at 56. There was a bunch of other players on the board at that point. Sure. Trey Brown, the corner from Oklahoma, okay. And then Stone Forsythe from Florida, like, all right, whatever. Like, it's you have 3 picks, man. That's it. San Francisco 49ers, B and B plus. I liked what they did. I was talking about it on stream. They kind of smoke showed everybody, and then boom went Trey Lance. I like it. It gives them the kind of pro style system quarterback, who also can maneuver and move out of the pocket now, which in the San Fran Shanahan offense, is interesting. They actually have a mobile guy now. Aaron Brooks at 48, I love that pick. Just kind of he's going to be a very good runner for them, a run blocker for them. A little bit of a reach at 48, but still okay, fair enough. And then Trey Sermon, the Ohio State running back, he's going to be a guy that's going to go downhill, and he's going to get after it. And then they fill it out with some corners, offensive lineman, another running back later in the draft, and a safety from USC, who's a little bit of a sleeper. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And then we go to the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, continuing to just kind of reload, right? They brought back everybody, so now they're just reloading, adding a few key pieces. They go Washington outside backer Joe Tryon, 32. Just adds another guy to come after quarterbacks. You got Sue, Will Galston, Jason Pierre-Paul, and now you add this guy. He can come in, he can play, learn this season, and then potentially replace one of those guys when they leave next year. These are all potential free agents. Getting Kyle Trask at 64, I love it, but it shows. I love it because of who it is. It's a reach and a half of a pick, but it shows that like this is their pick for who the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might be. Of course, that could always change. Oh, this shit always does change eventually. But that's what it feels like. So overall, I mean, it was an okay draft for them. They just they already have their team back, so they're just reloading and just trying to get some guys that like if they hit on them, they hit on them. If they don't, they don't. The Tennessee Titans, at 22, getting Caleb Farley, I thought was a steal and a half. I've compared him before to the corner from Baltimore, Marcus Peters. I feel like he's a better tackler than Marcus Peters, but he's easily able to go get the ball. He's a ball hawk at points, and he can just kind of go get after it. Then they didn't have a pick until 53, where they get the North Dakota State offensive tackle Dylan Radins. I really liked Radins. I thought he was a bargain and a half at that point. A lot of tackles were going above him that I didn't think were better than him. So it's nice seeing the Titans, who are going to use him, in my opinion, go and get him after last season's Isaiah Wilson fiasco. They potentially go get him. And then you get Monty Rice and Elijah Molden, 2 defensive players, both solid picks. And then the rest of the draft is just kind of, the same usual thing. They double dip a wide receiver after losing Corey Davis. So then we move on to the Washington football team that I really hope they turn the name to the Washington Red Wolves. Interesting. It's B plus B plus. They had a lot of picks. They hit on a lot of players. I thought that the only thing for me out of their entire thing, I think that they had a very solid draft. They got a lot of players at a lot of needs, but getting Jamin Davis at 19, I feel like that was a huge reach at 19. I feel like they could have traded back into the 20s, late 20s, early 20s, traded back and still had him on the board. Maybe even traded in the fucking early second and still had him on the board. Huge upside, but that's the thing, is there's a huge upside with it. Is it going to be met, though? like I said, other than that, though, just a lot of, offensive tackle from Texas, corner, wide receiver, tight end, safety. They get a lot of needs, hit a lot of positions they need, and overall, it's just a solid draft. Like I said, when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you have 10 picks, you're going to hit on 1 or 2 of them. You have to. It's almost impossible not to. And that's it. Washington was the last team. Overall, I thought the draft weekend was fun. It was exciting at points. We had a lot of teams trading around at different points. A lot of players going in weird positions that a lot of people didn't think. Like, why is this guy going here? Why is this guy going here? You know, that's all. It's always fun seeing some of that. It's hard for me to say like winners and losers. I think that stuff is kind of, you know, it's tough to say, especially when, we don't know how these guys are going to play. Obviously, there's freaking undrafted free agent guys that are coming off the board right now as we're speaking, as I'm saying this on Sunday night. That are still coming off the board, right? And like those guys are going to be stars. There's going to be 7th-round picks that we've never heard of, that these freaking analysts have like never really heard of, or like overlooked, and they're going to be stars. And there's going to be 1st and 2nd rounders that are going to fail. Overall, I love seeing the players going. I love draft weekend. I think draft weekend is one of my favorite weekends of the year. Just seeing all the different reactions, the different things, the trades, the way things work, seeing how teams are going to attack the draft. And yeah, overall, I just liked what happened. I liked what happened with my team. So, hope your team did well. Let me know in the comments down below who your team is, and how you think they drafted. Let me know what you think was the best pick of the draft and what was the worst pick of the draft. And as always, depending on where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, stay out of trouble, stay safe, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.